Hello children, a warm welcome to you all. Welcome to our English class and a very good morning. Are you all ready with your English textbooks children? If not, open your English reader, page number 37. Let's have a quick recap of what we have seen. Yes, we have learnt that Jenny was a little Scottish girl who lives among the highlands. Jenny and Jenny's mother used to spin and weave beautiful cloth on their looms, right? Jenny's father used to rear sheep. Jenny got a gift on her 12th birthday from her grandmother that she gifted a necklace which is made of amber beads. And we have seen that how those beads are, and we have seen what are the different types of beads it has in that necklace. Like one has ferny moss in it, and one has tiny fly in it, one has pine needles in it, one has frozen honey in it. So we have seen like these different types of beads, right? So today let us see more about the necklace. And Jenny liked that necklace so much, that's the reason she used to admire a lot. She used to spend a lot of time in looking at that necklace. She used to surprise how beautiful it is. That's the reason she used to admire that necklace a lot. As a part of this story, we need to learn the grammar which has been covered in this lesson. So now let's learn the grammar first and then we'll go to the lesson. Can you identify what are these children? Yes, these are action words. Run, clean, dance, walk, cry, crawl, fight, etc. Right? So what are these action words are called as? Verbs. So what is the definition of the verb children? Action words are called as verbs, or else all doing words are called as verbs. So the verb is mainly divided into two types children. One is finite and non-finite verbs. Finite verbs, they change their form according to the person, number and tense. Here the person means first person, second person, third person. We all know all these things, right? And it changes according to the number. Number means singular, plural. And it changes according to the tense. Tense means present, past, future, perfect or continuous tenses. So the verb changes according to the person, according to the number, according to the tense. When the verb changes according to these, then it is called as a finite verb. And when the verb do not change their form according to the subject. Subject means same, the person and the number. So if the verb do not change their form according to the subject, then it is called as non-finite verb children. Again, this non-finite verb is being divided into three types. If you observe here, verbs are being divided into two types, finite and non-finite verbs. Non-finite verbs are being divided into three types. First one is infinitives, participles, gerunds. Firstly, let us learn about finite verbs. As we have learned that finite verb changes according to the subject. The subject can be the person, the number and the tense. The finite verbs changes according to the person, number and tense. Person means first person, second person, third person. Number means singular, plural. And tense, which is present tense, past tense, future tense or continuous tense. In this sentence, if you observe, she runs very fast. Here the word she is the first person. What is the verb in this sentence, children? Runs, right? She runs very fast. In this sentence, what is the verb? They all run very fast. Run is the verb. And they all run very fast. They is the third person plural. Here they is the subject, which is a pronoun. Here I have said that she is the first person. Sorry children. She is third person singular. So if you observe these two sentences, she runs very fast. They all run very fast. Here the subject she and they are different, and according to the subject, the verb runs and run had changed their forms, right? So when the subject is dependent on the verb, then it is called as finite verbs. Next sentence. She likes to run very fast. They all like to run very fast. Here, what is the verb, children? To run? Run, right? So, irrespective of the subject, the verbs did not change, right? So, when the verb does not change, which is independent, where the verb doesn't change its form, it is called as non-finite verb. Here, the verbs do not change their form according to the subject. They are independent. That is the reason these type of verbs are called as non-finite verbs. As I said, non-finite verbs are divided into three types, that is infinitives, participles and gerunds. Let us see first about infinitives. Here, the verbs which are preceded by to are called infinitives. Let us see the example. I want to become a doctor. What is the verb here? Become. See, the verb become is being preceded by to. So this type of verb is called as infinitive verb. If you see any word in the sentence, to become, to fly, to do, anything such kind, so that kind of verb is called as infinitive. If you see to plus verb, then it is non-finite infinitive verb. One more example. My father knows how to cook. So here to plus verb, to cook. The teacher asked him to rub the board. To plus verb, to rub. These shoes are difficult to clean. To clean. To plus verb. Here, in these sentences, the verbs have been underlined. Yesterday, I saw a broken egg. From the egg, I saw a buffalo flying away. Then I saw her sitting on a tree and singing a lovely song. Soon after, my dream ended. So the underlined words are verbs. I saw a broken egg. So, what is broken? Egg. It is saying about the noun. How is the noun? Broken means it is describing how that egg is. Next, I saw a buffalo flying away. How is the buffalo? It's flying away. Next, then I saw her sitting on a tree and singing a lovely song. What is she doing? She's sitting on a tree and singing a lovely song. So it is describing about a noun. Soon after, my dream ended. So what has been ended? Dream. Dream is a noun, right? It's an abstract noun. Actually, broken, flying, sitting, singing, ended, all these are verbs. But here in these sentences, these verbs are acting as adjectives, right? So, when the verb acting as adjectives is called participles. Participles can be of two types, present participle and past participle. If you observe in the sentences, verb plus ing, that is flying, fly is a verb, plus ing, singing, sing plus ing, verb plus ing, it can be verb plus ing, or it can be verb plus d form or ed form or en form, like broke plus en, and plus ed. So broke plus en and plus ed are past participle. So participles have been divided into two types, present participle and past participle. In present participle, see the sentence, I heard the dog barking. Here, what is the dog doing? It's barking. Actually, the barking is a verb, right? But it is describing what the dog, how the dog is, what the dog is doing. I heard the dog barking. And also verb plus ing. It is present participle, where the action is continuing. One more sentence. This fence needs mending. Needs, present tense. It is been ended with yes, right? Mending. Mend plus ing. Verb plus ing. Watch the raindrops falling. Fall plus ing. Falling. Here, watch the raindrops falling. Drops. Yes, the word is been ended with yes, which tells us it is present tense. Falling means it's a continuous tense. Participles that end with ed or en are called past participles. Her book is neatly covered. What is the verb here? Covered, right? So the word is been ended with ed. My nose is swollen. The word is been ended with en. Swollen, where the action is already done. Next, failing is scary. Succeeding is difficult. Paying attention is good. Learning is a lot of fun. If you see, the underlined words are verbs. Failing, succeeding, paying, learning, right? But these verbs are acting as nouns in the sentences. If the verb is ending in ing and if the verb is acting as a noun in the sentence, then that kind of verb is called as non-finite gerund verb. If you see here, reading is a good hobby. Here, as I said, gerund is a verb which ends in ing and it behaves as a noun in the sentence. As a noun in the sentence means the subject. Reading is a good hobby. Next, improve your writing. What we have to improve? Writing, right? So writing is a verb which is acting as a noun. So children, we have learnt about verbs, and verbs have been divided into two types, that is finite verbs and non-finite verbs. Finite verbs are those which changes their form according to the person, number and tense. And non-finite verbs do not change their form according to the subject, right? Non-finite verbs have been divided into three types again, infinitives, participles and gerunds. How to identify it is an infinitive verb? Simple. It's very simple. Try to identify the verb which has been preceded by to. If you see to plus verb, then it is non-finite infinitive verb. If you see the verb plus ing or verb plus ed or en or d form, then it is present participle or past participle. If you see the verb plus ing which is acting as a noun in the sentence, then it is called as non-finite gerund verb. Now let us try to apply this concept of verbs in the lesson. Here, Jenny was a little Scottish girl who lived among the highlands. In this sentence, what is the verb, children? Was is a verb and lived is a verb, right? So, we have learnt that if the verb is being changed according to the subject, where the subject here is who, which is pronoun. If the verb changes according to the subject, if it is a pronoun or a noun, then it is called as a finite verb, right? And also it is very easy to identify a finite verb, children. Finite verb appears just beside the subject. If you find any verb elsewhere in the sentence, then that verb is a non-finite verb. Next, if you observe in the next that her grandmother had given the beads to Jenny on her 12th birthday. What is the verb here? The verb is given, right? Her grandmother had given the beads to Jenny on her 12th birthday. So here the word given is a verb which is a non-finite verb. Which type of non-finite verb, children, it is? It is past participle. As I said you, non-finite verb appears elsewhere in the sentence, not just beside the noun or pronoun. So here if you observe, given is not just beside the noun or pronoun, it is elsewhere in the sentence. So like this you can easily identify a finite and non-finite verbs. Next, here in this sentence, Jenny spent a lot of time just admiring them. The word admiring is the verb, right? Admire plus ing, verb plus ing form. Here, ask a question. How did she spend? She spent by admiring them. So the verb is acting as an adjective here. So the word admiring will become a non-finite gerund verb. Like this, you need to identify the verbs in the sentences, children, whether it is a finite or non-finite verb. If at all, if it is a non-finite verb, which type of non-finite verb it is. Now let us look into the lesson. 5th paragraph. Jenny's grandfather had got the beads from the wreck of a ship. As you all know that Jenny used to spend a lot of time just by admiring those beads. Here, Jenny's grandfather got the beads from the wreck of a ship, and the ship's name is Goshak. Wreck means, you can see the meaning here, parts of a ship that has been destroyed or has sunk at sea. You can see this picture. This is called as wreck of a ship, where the ship has been destroyed or which has been sunk at sea. From the wreck of a ship, Goshak, which had sunk in the sea waters near his highland home. He had gone looking for what he could save from the wreck. So Jenny's grandfather went to the ship to save from the wreck. What he can save, he want to save something from the wreck, so he went to the ship. There among the slippery seaweeds, he had accidentally stepped on this piece of amber. So if you observe, this is called as slippery seaweed, children. Usually we can see near the water, wherever there is a lot of float of water, we can see like this, slippery seaweed, like usually we call in Telugu as nachu or pakuru, right? So he stepped on this slippery seaweed and he accidentally stepped on this piece of amber. It was a clear, shining lump, and all the creatures had been embedded in it. So, when he stepped on the piece of amber, he had seen that. What was that? It was a clear, shining lump, means it was something like this. A stone which was very clear, means which was transparent, and it was shining. And all the creatures had been embedded, it seems. And all the creatures has been embedded in it, seems. Had been embedded in it. From this lump, grandfather had carved out the beads himself and had given them to his wife as a wedding gift. So, grandfather had carved the beads. It was like a lump. It was like a hard stone. What he did, it was a shapeless stone. What he did, he carved those beads and he had given as a gift to his wife on his wedding day. He had worked very carefully to save the embedded insect or weed in each piece. So he carved very carefully that not to destroy the beauty of the stone, where in each stone something has been embedded, right? It can be a ferny moss, it can be an insect, it can be a fly or a honeybee, frozen honeybee, whatever it is. So he worked very carefully to save the embedded insect or weed in each piece. How his young wife had loved it. So, according to the taste of his wife, he carved each lump very carefully. She had worn it for many years and then had left it to her granddaughter. So, Jenny's grandmother had worn that necklace for many years and then she left it, means she gave it to her granddaughter. But what puzzled Jenny was how the amber came to be on the seashore and how the bees, the moss and the other creatures had got inside. So she looked it up in a book. Here, Jenny's grandmother didn't give the necklace to her by hand. That's the reason in this sentence, if you see up, she had worn it for many years and then had left it. Left it means she kept aside to her granddaughter. Jenny was puzzled with those stones, how these bees and moss are inside the stone. So to know more about that, she looked it up in a book. Means her grandmother was not there at that time, means she was no more. So she looked it up in a book, means she searched for the information by looking in a books. Nowadays we are searching in computers, right? She learned that long before any humans appeared on earth, the Scottish Highlands were covered with forests. So long before the humans appearing on the highlands in the Scotland, it was completely covered with forests, it seems. There were oaks, poplars, beeches and pines. All these are trees, the names of the trees. So like this, Scottish Highland was completely covered with forest, it seems. What it had? There were oaks. Oak means a large strong tree with hard wood. So like this, large strong trees with hard wood. Next, poplars. Poplars means very large, tall, straight, thin trees. So like this, this type of trees are called as poplars. Beeches means large forest trees with a smooth grey trunk and spreading branches. This type of trees. Next, and pines. Tall trees with thin, sharp leaves. So this is a pine tree. Among them was one kind of pine, tall and stately, from which a shining yellow gum flowed. So one of those trees was like from the pine tree, the shining yellow gum is been flowing like this. Have you ever observed gum flowing from the trees, children? Yes, at least in your villages, when you visit your villages, you might have observed, right? This beautiful yellow gum was fragrant. Fragrant means it has beautiful smell, which comes from the amber beads, right? The same smell which comes from the amber beads. When we rub the amber bead, the fragrance used to stick to the things around us, right? Like a magnet. So let's stop the lesson till here, children. Let us see more about how the insects are being embedded in this gum. Let's see in tomorrow's session. What you have to do is you need to underline the hard words and write them, and also you need to identify the verbs and differentiate the verbs whether it's finite or non-finite verbs till the paragraph which I have taught, and complete the structures, the textbook part, in page number 40 and 41, children. Underline the finite verbs and circle the non-finite verbs in these sentences. Complete these sentences in your textbook. You need to underline the finite verbs and circle the non-finite verbs. The first one is already done for us. We planned to give away our old books to the library. We planned. Here we is the subject. It's a second person, right? So according to the subject, the verb planned will be changing. It can be plan, plans, planning. So that's the reason planned is a finite verb. To give is a non-finite verb. The action doesn't change, whatever the subject is. So like this, try to identify finite and non-finite verbs, circle the non-finite, underline the finite verbs in these the remaining sentences. Do this in your textbook itself, children, page number 40 and 41. Write the hard words and meanings in your English HW and keep the heading, whichever word you have identified in the sentences from the lesson, keep the heading finite and write the words which you have identified under finite, and keep the heading non-finite and write the words which you have identified under non-finite. If you have identified, again under non-finite we have three kinds, right? Write the sub-verb also, like which type of non-finite verb you have identified. Write those in your English HW and send your work to me, children. Thank you. Have a nice day.